Hello. Now, my next guest is no stranger to the show. He's been used to grilling more guests than being grilled himself, and for the last 2.5 years, he has been the linchpin of the Big Breakfast. Quite unbelievably, I was certainly amazed at that. This is his first ever TV interview ever, and he's promised to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please welcome Mr. Johnny Vaughan.
Thank you very much, Liz. I might bullshit a little bit.
Only a little bit.
But I think that's to be accepted. That's quite acceptable.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And actually, I have done one little interview once before where I briefly cooked on the Gloria Hunniford show.
What did you cook?
I just wanted to meet her.
Did you?
Yeah, I can't remember what we cooked in the end, but it was...
What was your fascination with Gloria, then?
I'd heard she's quite short.
Was it as simple as that?
Yes, and it's
Isn't it funny
lovely.
how on a sport level, things like that are the things you need to know?
Yeah, it just looked so cosy and sort of quite a nice atmosphere, so I went down there. So, but anyway, I didn't reveal anything like we're going to reveal here, Christ.
Judith Chalmers hold the same sort of thrill for
Ever since I found out she didn't wear pants.
Well, that's news to me. So how did you manage to avoid doing a big TV interview thus far? Well,
I always think when we work on the Big Brekkie, we're pretty open about our lives anyway and what we kind of do. In a sort of shallow breakfast way. So I'm kind of there every morning telling them about my life. And I just think it's a bit odd when you host shows. I always think it's a really odd thing to see hosts as guests. I just always think it's like quite weird. It's often like, sometimes on Have I Got News For You, they get, or Shooting Stars, they get like a host on there. And suddenly they're a panellist, and it's just, or being interviewed, it's just a sort of odd thing. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
Yeah, I can understand that though, because you are giving yourself, I don't know, giving yourself away in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't. We're pretty open, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's probably
why.
We're
not liars.
Do you know, I'll tell you why, because there's never been an interviewer good enough, Lisa, and now there is.
Oh, smooth.
I really like you. So, you said there's no subject area that was off limits, and we've had a huge response from the viewers. Are you still happy to answer anything?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, within reason, not sort of, dreary stuff. If it's
no, I won't. Legally, I have to ask you that.
Okay, nice one.
Okay, I'm going to start quite largely with prison.
Ah, the big house.
Prison.
Oh.
Well, the hottest topic was prison, of course, so we're going for it.
Was it the hottest topic on the net when they asked?
Well, I think it probably was, wasn't it, really? Because it's intriguing, because the majority of people haven't been to prison.
Yeah.
So, did you think you deserved it?
Well, it's hard to say. It's hard to say whether you deserve anything or not. At the time, when you get in the trial, and that's the trouble when people go on trial, they start thinking of, rather than thinking whether they're innocent or guilty or deserve it or not, all you're thinking about really is getting off.
Yeah.
So you can become very self-righteous and sort of think, gosh, she's ridiculous. At the end of the day, however cajoled or pressured I was into what I was involved with, and peer pressure is a hard thing when everyone's... I probably did. I was weak. It was a moment of weakness, and there definitely was a time when I had the time to say no and walk away. If I'd been
the peer group thing, you were going to look small in front of the
It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. Once you don't become responsible for your own actions because the situation sweeps you up, and you don't even stop to analyse, you don't realise. And this is interesting when you actually go to jail. You don't realise, you just meet loads of people there who are in, generally just particularly a lot of the violent offenders, for a tiny moment. That just a tiny lapse of judgment that then affects the rest of their lives. And that's what jail's really full of. As well as people who got caught. Obviously, a lot of people could have been in jail. I mean, the crime, as they saw there, is getting caught. But just how many people you meet there, it's just one moment, and they tell you their story. And you can see this moment of weakness when they did something terrible, when they weren't thinking about it. And that's kind of what everyone...
But were the people all right in there? They were nice to you?
Yeah, they were. I mean, I tell you what, it teaches you actually kind of two things, really, about human nature when you're in jail. First thing is, this is what it taught me, apart from teaching me things about myself.
Yeah.
Because you've got no props, no friends, all those things you kind of, not hide behind, but you can make you what you are in the outside world. And I think the things I learnt there was, firstly, that people who've done absolutely horrendous things can also be really charming people. And it's odd that those sort of two instincts, or those two traits, can reside in the same human, side by side. You can have someone who's just done something awful and violent, or a terrible gangster who's done something, and yet they can sit down and you wouldn't even know it. You have to have a real laugh with them. So that's the first thing, teaching you that in all humans, just because someone has been a monster, doesn't mean they're a monster 24 hours a day. They walk around being a monster. They did a monstrous act. I don't say this as defence, I just say this as what I found. Yeah. And the other thing is when you start, is that actually, and it'll sound a really strange thing, but I thought that a lot of the people in jail, Britain has a big jail population, for its proportion of people that are there. And it shows you at least a lot of people there were in there, particularly sort of, I don't know, some thieves or whatever. I've got to be quite careful what I say here, obviously.
Because they'll be watching, obviously.
Yeah, because they might
Actually, will they?
I don't know. Do they have tellies there?
don't they?
I don't know, they didn't in my day, but I guess they do now. You know, a bit softer now, you know. But it sort of shows you that people aren't prepared to be sheep, a lot of them. And a lot of them, you know, there's a lot, you know, like on the pay-per-view, we go through those crimes that are, you know, part of you sort of says, that is genius, that kind of, to outthink the system like that, even though it's major fraud. So some people there, you've got to admire their guile and their sort of ability not to be sheep. And just, I mean, I think, what is more sinister? A society where no one breaks the law at all and everyone obeys, or a society with, you know, a criminal element? And I think actually a society where there's not a criminal is slightly more sinister. It's kind of Disneyland sinister, which is, you know.
Yeah, so what's going on behind the scenes?
The other thing, of course, is that all victims are not necessarily good people. And you discover that in jail, which is a very tidy kind of microcosm of the world. And you discover that, you know, a lot of the people who've been in for bashing someone up or whatever, it wasn't a pretty nice person they bashed up. Doesn't make the crime
less,
good,
however.
or less. But it sort of teaches you that. And it's the same on the world scale when you see sort of the UN steaming in to help people who are victims, and yet when it's turned around, those same people who would kind of bail out are just as cruel and just as dreadful. So those are sort of the two main things, that amazingly differing traits can reside in the same human, and that all victims aren't necessarily good people, which we automatically presume.
Okay, then. And moving on quite swiftly, you spent a couple of Christmases there, didn't you?
Yeah, I was very unlucky, actually, because I was sentenced on December the 2nd, 1988, and I came out on January the 30th, just offhand, 1991. So I spent 3 Christmases and New Year's in jail.
Was it a dreadful time?
I mean, so depressing. I actually had the lowest point of my life was when I was transferred suddenly out of Leicester prison, and I was taken just out of my job, and I was just, well, there was a nice number in the kitchen, lovely, £5.65 a week, lovely, and I was just taken to Lincoln prison, which is, I've got to tell you, is
horrible.
Is a really bad one. And no one knew where I was. I was on a bus with this, there was 2 of us on a bus with 14 prison officers, and he was a mad Scotsman. And he was just up there, manacled both sides, going, "Come on, Vonnie, are you with me?" And I was like, "Well, not quite, mate. You know, we're not sort of that good friends." And we arrived at this jail, and it was just like 2 days before Christmas, and none of my family knew where I was, none of my mail was going to get to me. I was just in this cell with this bloke who was actually a very nice chap, but he did have a nasty habit of taking his false teeth out to suck pies. No. And he then used to put his teeth on the bed, and he used to suck pies. Anyway, and I cleaned my shirt. I washed my shirt because I was expecting a visit some stage. I wanted to have a clean shirt. And I had this wet shirt on because they wouldn't let me go down to exercise without a shirt, because that's what the dogs are trained to go for, is the stripy shirts. You always have to wear them when you're walking around in circles for an hour. And I was just walking around in an exercise yard. I'm not kidding, it was the size of Wales. And it was just like a real wind there. It was cold. I was just wearing a wet shirt. I was thinking, no one knows I'm here. I didn't have parole at the time, and I had another about 2.5 years to go, and honestly, it's such a low point. Actually, it's good to have those, because only when you're in those kind of pits of despair, you know how great it is to be up there again. You know, it's only that you know you can get any kind of greatness from, I think.
Thank you for that. I'm going to lighten it right up.
I'll tell you one thing though, someone really nice thing, sarcastically on one Christmas day, because I did also have a lot of laughs in prison, and one of the things that the great mental editor does is take out bad memories and boredom, because they're too boring to remember. You can't remember waiting for a bus, so that it makes you feel bored. Yeah. Because it's too boring to remember. So actually, because there's so many identical days, the mental editor just kind of takes out the 20 days in between 2 funny incidents, and you're left actually looking back thinking, yeah, I had a few laughs there. And I remember one time, Christmas Day, I put a sock on my cell door, sarcastically, like a stocking for Santa. Yeah. And I put it on the cell door, and in the morning, when we opened up, I saw my sock there, I went inside it, and a prison officer had been doing night duty, had put a cigarette in it. So it was quite a sort of, at the time, it was like, wow.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it was a really sort of weird thing, but I sort of thought, there is a Santa, you know, it was a nice sort of thing.
Right, moving into big breakfast questions. Lots of people want to know how long you're going to stay on the Big B.
Well, I love the big breakfast, and I love morning television anyway. I mean, I think in the morning, we have the advantage of, we're all competing against each other. We really are. Every channel, every radio station is doing their review of the world. British people, for some reason, when they get up in the morning, they have this thing like, what's happened? What's happened overnight? Who's died? What's happened? Is there a war? What's happened? Everyone wants to know why papers are bigger here than just about any other nation. Because everyone wants to check in and find out what's happened. And I think we really have that kind of instant reaction. I think in America, they have late night chat shows where they want to see what's happened at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we
which
want to know at the
never quite
beginning.
have. They've tried it, they've never quite have it. Every morning we get 2 hours of pretty well to say and do what you want within parameters.
Okay, right, okay.
And it's,
now that you're
absolutely love it.
married, I'm sorry to, you know what's happening in my ear. You can turn that talk back off, thank you very much. And now that you're married, is your life completely perfect?
It's been a bit hectic actually this year. It's been really, really hectic. You know, I've moved house, got married. We did the Christmas pre-records, always hectic. Sorry, gang. We did the, you know, I did the film show. As you know, I write films with Eddie Allen, and we got a sort of quite a good, you know, film writing deal coming up. I've got Horrible, my sitcom, coming up next year as well. I have to do my cider ads. You know, it really has been a bit too much this year. I've towards the end of it.
Push your boat out, bud.
Yeah, towards the end of it, I think I've sowed a bit too much.
However, you won't this year. I think it's going to be a great year.
I'm going to, you know, one of my New Year's resolutions is to try and say no a bit. Because if someone comes up to me and they're enthusiastic, I just can't help saying, yeah, I'll do it. They can't. They go, I love what you do. Would you do this? And you can't go, no, and piss off. you just can't do it. So, you know, I've got to just sort of learn to say
okay, I'm going to ask you some very quick questions. I've already been told to wrap it, so I'm going to ask you them. I want quick fire answers from you, no
I'm
thinking.
Good at quick fire.
Okay, favourite biscuit from an assortment?
Bourbons.
Bourbons, nice call. When did you last cry?
When did I last cry? Watching that driving. Oh no, when I was married.
Really?
When I was married and I did my speech, and I cracked up doing the words to "You're the best thing." The best
don't.
picture, I really went.
Oh yeah, that was lovely. Who would you like to kiss from EastEnders or Coronation Street, past and present?
Bette Lynch.
Bette Lynch.
In about the mid-70s when she wore the cheetah skin trousers to take Ken Barlow, no, Mike Baldwin back up to her room.
Okay.
Goes, not a lot of fellas get up here.
Okay. Favourite colour?
Blue. Blue is the colour. Football is the game. We're all together.
Yeah, and Chelsea is your team. If you could meet anyone in the world, who would it be? Past, present?
Anyone in the world.
Anyone
Apart
in
from
the world.
Past and present.
Yeah.
Lord George Paget.
Lovely, lovely answer. Worst interview ever?
Worst interview ever, Willem Dafoe. The first interview I ever did, and I didn't realise that he's apparently, allegedly, quite well hung. And I asked him why he could never play Robin Hood. And he said, why couldn't I play Robin Hood? I looked down on my question cards, and it said, apparently he has a massive chopper, would look strange in tights.
Lovely.
And the interview had gone so badly, he goes, why couldn't I play Robin Hood? And I've looked down and seen that. And I thought, I can't say, you got a massive chopper.
Really well done.
Just tell me, walked
okay,
out.
if the answer is love, what is the question?
I don't know. What's the answer?
While he thinks about that, it is about to be New York New Year. Can you imagine that? We're going to have to go to that, but I am going to carry on grilling him right here. So let's go to ITN for the latest whatever.
Okay, here is the news at just a minute to 5 on Saturday the 1st of January. Straight away, we're going over live to watch the famous ball drop in Manhattan's Times Square, where New Yorkers are about to start spreading the news. Well, for a change, they're lagging behind us, but they're just about to catch up with the rest of the world, and they're going to join us in the new century. It's estimated that you're 1 in a billion watching these pictures live from Times Square. It's an event which New Yorkers modestly describe as the global celebration at the crossroads of the world. Well, tens of thousands of people have waited on the square for more than 24 hours for the occasion. And they were rewarded with performances by hundreds of dancers and actors, and of course, the dropping of that giant ball. They've dropped one into Times Square every year since 1907, and this one has been shining there throughout the day. The massive 6 feet in diameter, weighs 1,070 pounds and has 600 light bulbs in it. Well, back to Britain. If you missed it earlier, here's how things went down inside the Millennium Dome. Well, the cheers from the specially invited guests weren't the loudest that you've heard, but perhaps they were being restrained because of the company they were keeping. And of course, even though it was the Dome, everyone still had to perform a traditional rendition of Auld Lang Syne. Even though Her Majesty didn't seem too comfortable with things, she got her hands all wrong. Well, there are still world cities waiting for their turn to welcome in the new year, but some capitals are already waking up to their first proper Millennium Days. Here's how things looked over Egypt just 20 minutes ago. The crowds that gathered there for the midnight celebrations have gone, but a dedicated handful waited to see the sunrise over one of the world's most famous landmarks, the pyramids, on what turned out to be a rather cloudy morning. And just time for a quick bug update. And in the past hour, Britain has officially been declared a Millennium Bug-Free Zone. Companies and businesses are still being told to be wary until at least January the 4th. But in the first 3 hours after midnight, there wasn't one single call to the government's official Millennium Centre. Now at 2 minutes past 5, it's time to go back to Johnny.
Yay! Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, Kel. I tell you what, she's hanging in there.
You are bearing up beautifully.
Do you think so? I'm starting to get a bit flushed.
Yeah, same here, actually.
Do you know, it's a lovely flush.
It is.
Oh, do you think so?
Flush.
Pure and virginal.
Yeah, absolutely. What can I say?
Kelly Dalglish, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know what? There's a legend in the house. There's one of my heroes in
Which
the house.
legend is that, Mr.
Keith
Vaughan?
Allen is here.
Are you mad?
Giving it back to the people, Johnny. Giving it back to the people.
In a
Exactly
sheep
right,
boat?
mate.
Where it belongs.
Where it belongs.
Lisa, your old man, he trod the path, the people.
Keith Allen, ladies and gentlemen. You know what he is? He is the fire in the belly of British culture.
I am the cream on the top of the pint milk bottle, I believe.
You're the icing on the... OK, here we go.
I was going to say something about the tips and pecking. Well, thanks very much.
Do you know what? We've still got Jenny McCarthy.
A whole hour of filth.
No, you're not, actually.
Right, who else turned up?
I'll tell you who turned up. Gail Porter's here, Jamie Oliver's here. David Hurst was here, Molan was here, Quentin Wilson was here. Al Pacino was here. Mark was here. Zoe was here. Joe Hicks was here.
Katie's here.
In your coat. And do you know what? Harry and the Playboys are here, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, where are we going now and what should we do?
Well, I'm just saying that earlier in the year, Jenny McCarthy, in fact, about last January, Jenny McCarthy came in for a week and it cost us, it cost an arm and a leg, frankly. And yes. I don't know exactly, they won't tell me, Gail. It's a good question, I'll be finding that out.
Arm and a leg and a massively enhanced breast.
I think they threw those in.
Mr. Vaughan, was it per item or was it just personality?
I don't know, it's hard to say. I've seen these tapes and they're very interesting.
Just thought I'd ask.
No, but it's provocative questions, and do you know what? The viewer can be the jury on that. Whether it was worth the money, whether it wasn't. Give us a call. 0181985, all the ones, except it's 0208 985, all the ones. Anyway, that's back after the break. The Jenny McCarthy hour. There's a lot of laughter over there. That's a good
5
thing.
o'clock in the morning. It's great that you're still with us. It's great if you've just joined us. Happy New Year. Hope you're feeling great. We are just talking over Keith Allen in his sheepskin.
I'm starting to wane. Do you know what? I'm starting to wane like John. Back in a couple of seconds. Do not go away, please. This is the biggest breakfast ever in the millennium. Yeah!